Christmas can be certainly a stressful time. There's presents and trees and money and money and money.
No, there's no money left.
There's no money left. And like we heard in Sunday school this morning, you could spend the next 8 months paying for Christmas. Let us help you figure out how to de-stress your Christmas.
Real life for real families. Hurts, habits, and hang-ups happen in every family.
Jerry and I are here with tools to help you trust God, clean house, and tell the truth to ramp up the joy in your family.
You have what it takes.
It's time to become sober on purpose for his purpose. What were the boys, 4 and 6 or something like that when we started the Do Nothing Christmas?
I think that's about right.
Because do you remember having the one in the big house where we had everybody over and we pulled the table all the way over to the oven because we had like 10 people and we did salmon and risotto and a fancy salad and 3 or 4 desserts. Do you remember doing that?
I do not remember doing that.
It was crazy. And you know what the boys thought about it?
No.
Bored out of their minds.
Makes sense.
Because what is Christmas really about? Really, for us, it's about being together, being with family, celebrating the birth of Jesus. So what did we start doing about 6 years ago?
I as I recall, this was my idea, and I'm very proud of it because it suits my proclivities quite well. But we just decided to do nothing. We would turn off our phones most of the time. And we would just sit around the house and enjoy our presents and get a lot of junk food and good food, particularly for the adults, but kind of whatever that the person wanted to eat, we would buy that in advance, and we would just have a day where we didn't go see family, we didn't travel, we just kind of locked ourselves in and enjoyed our presents and enjoyed some food and each other's company.
That came about because we were preparing this fancy meal for the 4 of us. The boys didn't care. They didn't want a tablecloth and silverware and china on the table. They wanted to play with their toys and they wanted to spend time with us. And here we were being frustrated with each other in the kitchen and trying to get things on the table, and nobody wanted to sit down. And we do eat a regular family meal at night with everybody at the table. So this is a practiced event. This is not something new. But on this holiday, we just looked at each other and said, why are we doing this? Who are we doing this for?
Yeah, for our dead ancestors, I think.
I mean, it was a tradition that got handed down to us. Now, I know many of you have relatives. See, we don't have any relatives real close by. And my parents decided it was too hard to get up here in Colorado in the snow. So we see them at Thanksgiving, which to me, Thanksgiving doesn't have all the pressure. It doesn't have the presents, the tree, all the parties, all those things. It's just a meal. And so it's a lot less pressure. And that's the part that I enjoy. So we looked at each other and really decided that from here on out, we were going to have a do nothing day. We were going to spend our time in our PJs, and we've had a fun time going to the grocery store like the week before. We set aside a budget and we go to the grocery store a week before, and everybody gets to pick their favorite easy to cook food. So what are some of the things that you pick for that?
A shrimp cocktail is one of my favorites. Port wine cheese and crackers.
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes we buy a ready-made cake or we make cookies up the week before so that they're ready to go. We buy croissants for breakfast because we like croissants.
Yeah, that's nice. And last year, Elijah wanted to do a Jesus birthday cake.
So we did a Jesus birthday cake. You know, we did that in advance so we didn't have to cook on that day, because the last thing you want to do is spend your time in the kitchen doing dishes on Christmas Day.
Yeah, even without that, we make plenty mess, just, between eating and not trying to stress ourselves out cleaning up.
And then we also kind of have what we call camping rules about eating. Is this is your special day. You bought special food, and the boys, we had the Jesus birthday cake, and then often they'll want pizza or some kind of special cereal, and you can kind of eat as you want to. We're all together as a family, and we play a family game, and this year we're getting a PS4, so we'll be on the TV. But we don't make a time to sit around the table with china and all those other things because this is different for us. Normally we do eat around the table, and we take this as a special time to really change it up for a little bit.
Yeah, and the last couple of years I've really been kicking it up a notch. I'll even put on clothes.
We do, because we do a video for our parents in the morning. So I know there's a lot of traditions that people hang on to and that are important, and I'm not saying cutting those out. If it's important, and we do read the Christmas story in the morning, and we do, make coffee because that's important, and we do open presents one at a time. There are a lot of traditions that we hang on to. Oh, and we move baby Jesus into the creche because he's been born. But the thing that was stressing us out was trying to make this meal and manage little kids. And so they don't even remember when we used to make big meals and have people over and try and get the house cleaned up after all the presents got unwrapped. In fact, Elijah asked me the other day, he said, do most people have like a Thanksgiving meal on Christmas? Do they eat turkey and sit down? And I'm like, oh, sweetheart, when you get a girlfriend and have to go to her house for Christmas, it's gonna be really different.
Yeah, that's true. And I think this is kind of cool because this is one of our traditions that we've created and we've brought to life. And it was, for me, at least I believe it was in an effort to give the adults sanity and comfort and bring the holiday into a really enjoyable thing for us as adults as well. Because obviously, kids tend to like Christmas because of all the presents.
Well, and it was for the kids too, because they didn't want to leave their presents and sit down or go to somebody's. The worst thing is to have to leave your presents and go to somebody's house,
Yeah,
and do that all again, because then we were forcing them into doing that. And the other thing that came into play when this started was during our separation and right after our separation, we were not the most easy people to be around. I don't know that we had any invitations for Christmas those years.
Yeah, probably not. I don't recall. But I want to believe that this was in an effort to make it enjoyable for us as well. Not that it wasn't enjoyable, but more enjoyable.
I think it's evolved into that, and we've kind of evolved it into what really works for us. In our area, a lot of people go skiing on Christmas Day, but again, that's getting everything together and getting to the mountain and getting all those things. Think about your life on the everyday. Every day, you get yourself together to go to work or take the kids to school or whatever you're doing. This is a day that we've decided as a rest day, and Elijah is the one who coined the do nothing day. In that if we have him going all week long to school and then programs and all those types of things that happen around the holidays, he just gets worn out. And even probably as early as 5, he would say, Mom, can we have a do nothing day? And that really meant he could read or watch some TV or have meals kind of at his pace rather than at the school's pace or out to a restaurant pace. And it has really brought home the idea that, Jesus says, come to me and I will give you rest. I will take off your burdens. And that's what we practice on Christmas is this, we're having a rest day with Jesus and we're being with family, and we've gotten really, really protective about it. Now you could invite us over. We're actually pretty good guests, and we would say no.
Yeah, well, it depends on I think the timeline. So like, let's say theoretically you were a couple blocks away, you were going to have prime rib dinner, you were going to serve at 4:30, and then you wanted all the guests out by like 5:15. We might be okay with that.
I don't think so. I don't think you'd get dressed.
I don't know. It depends on how good they make prime rib.
But I mean, we really are protective. We might do something on Christmas Eve, but like Jerry said, this is a family tradition that we started. It's okay to start your own new family traditions, and this one that we started as a way to protect our time together as a family, not just to enjoy our presents, but to be as a family all together. And as our boys get older, they will get invitations, and we're going to have to let them choose what they would like to do in a reasonable fashion. But it has been such a lifted burden.
I completely agree. And this isn't to say that this is the right way to do Christmas. This is just to say that this was something we knew was going to work out for us and our lifestyle, and we just did it. And we didn't ask people permission or try and focus on whether they cared or not. We just did it because it was what's right for us, and it brought us closer together as a family. And I really love the fact that this is our thing that we created, that we get to carry on. For me, it allowed for spontaneity, which is something that I'm a spontaneous person. So there's no deadlines here. If I want to have shrimp at 10:30 in the morning before the breakfast is done, I can do that. There's no rules. There's no structure, and that's pretty awesome.
And I think coming from an addict or depressive or angry background where the perfectionism of Christmas is really important, and we both have some of that in our backgrounds of where there were expectations to be here, there, everywhere, and it needed to be perfect, and the presents needed to be wrapped right, and the table needed to be set, and the right kind of pies baked, all that kind of stuff. This kind of releases us from all that, and that's the other thing we were looking for. Like I said, this started right as we were during the separation, right as we were getting back together, was to be able to have emotional sanity. We needed very low expectations on what had to happen. And so the only thing that has to happen is we get up and we make the children stay in bed. They're a little older, but we make them stay in bed till about 6 or 7. And we make coffee, and then the day begins. And from there, like Jerry said, we could have cocktail shrimp right off, or we could eat pie for breakfast or cake for breakfast, but there is no set order. And then we play some games, and we open presents, and we watch movies, and we just don't do really anything. And it's one of the few days in our lives that we keep sacred like that, to rest in Jesus, to say, hey, we're doing family time.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about is budget. So how we constructed this so that we're not freaking stressed out.
Yeah, so here's what you do, okay, guys? In an effort to have low stress and a organized and functional budget, you need to go to your in-laws and you need to say, hey, guys, how much money is there for Christmas this year? That's how you do it, okay? And then once they tell you how much there is, then you have your budget.
So we've been really blessed, and what has happened is my family and Jerry's mom, when she was alive, would say, hey, why don't I just send you money and you guys do what you want? But you could do this even on your own budget. We have set aside money, and we talk about it together because we're Santa, of course. We talk about it together, and we also talk about it with the kids, but we lay out everything for the special food for groceries, what we're going to give to the church, if we want to do a special out to movies thing, and then how much we're going to spend on presents. And then we stay within the budget. Now, mostly we do things on Amazon, so we see it right away, but it means in January, we're not looking at our credit card bills going, oh my goodness, how are we going to pay this? Where's the extra money going to come from? The only kind of extra we do is Jerry does the very male thing for our stockings. He runs out at the last minute and buys everything at Come and Go or 7-Eleven and gets us, what do you get us?
Toothbrush, toothpaste, some chocolate maybe. I think it's about it, right? Maybe some little
Gummy
fun
sharks.
toy, gummies. Yeah, some kind of candy.
So under $20, I think. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that's kind of a variable type thing. And it's not to say that our kids don't have some expensive presents. Like I said, we're getting a PlayStation 4, but it's one of the things we've been good about communicating about. We communicate with each other on what's going to happen, and our lives don't focus around who can get the bigger present or who can spend the most money. It's just, it's not about that. And here's the other kicker. We don't do a whole lot of outside the immediate family presence. We do some, but we don't do a whole lot of friends or teachers or outside the immediate family presence. I don't know how you feel about that, if you're a gift giver or not, but I take cookies to the teachers and send them a nice thank you note, because who needs more trinkets on their shelves to dust? They just don't need it.
Yeah, and it was tough at first, particularly when you still have close family and friends who are sending you actual physical gifts and you're not sending them anything. Just rest assured that in time, they'll get the hint and they won't stop sending you stuff too.
Now, you may have somebody that their language of love is gifts. And what did your mom teach you about accepting gifts?
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I had received some gifts that were generous, and your inclination, I think, a lot of times due to pride or just trying to be respectful, you're trying to graciously turn down the gift or say you shouldn't have. And I remember my mom just being like, just say thank you, Jerry. Just say thank you and take it and move on. You know you want it. just say thank you.
Well, and it's not even about wanting it. Some people get great joy out of giving gifts. And I stopped years ago thinking, well, if they give me a gift, then I need to get them a gift. That's not true. That's not what the meaning of gift is. Gift is I'm giving you something because I choose to do this, not out of obligation. And that's where we looked at our friends who were raising kids and other people who, had their own lives. And we said, look, you have abundance. We have abundance. We really love spending time with you. I'm more of an experienced person. So maybe, let's have each other over for dinner later, or send me a nice note about all the things that we enjoyed this year, or let's go for a ski. Let's not do these things that sit on the shelf or toys that are going to get broken, because we love Nerf guns and the guys ask for Nerf guns again, but we have a collection of Nerf guns that it lasts for a little while and then poof, they're gone.
They asked for Nerf guns?
Yes, they asked for Nerf guns again. And I'm not saying that a couple years we have bought all of us Nerf guns and we have run around the house and had a great time. If that's your thing for this year, then do it. So there's a time to call things. I mean, it's sad to me that we no longer do Thomas the Train or Matchbox cars, but that's not where our boys are right now. And we really try and focus on the cliche of what's the reason for the season, that this is about Jesus and how he came to save the world rather than how much I can get.
Well, right. And we also try and pay homage to the reality that, we believe the tradition was started because of the Magi who came to see Mary and Joseph and Jesus and gave them gifts, which later they used to survive while they were running from the authorities.
While they were in Africa, probably they sold the frankincense, gold, and myrrh to survive because they were refugees and very, very poor when Joseph had the dream to move both Jesus and Mary into Africa to save him from the onslaught of Herod. And so the gifts are something that we do for each other because Jesus is our greatest gift. One of my favorite pieces of Christmas is Advent, is being prepared for Jesus' coming. And that has nothing to do with giving gifts to each other. It has to do with reading through the scripture, reading through the Bible, getting ready for Jesus coming and setting the stage. I think that anticipation is even more exciting than the gifts itself. And I do have a blog post on that, so we'll add that to the show notes.
And Advent could be about giving gifts if we're talking about inviting the lonely over for dinner, or clothing those who don't have the adequate clothes, or giving counsel to those who are asking for it, taking that time out. Those are all gifts, and that could be that certainly could be something. Or maybe you take a box of groceries and drop it anonymously somewhere. I mean, that is clearly one of the things that we're instructed to do as Christians.
Or pay for somebody's gas behind you, or, leave some coffee cards for the teachers or something of that nature. We've moved away from the tangible. That's not saying we don't buy some, but we've moved away from the tangible and are looking at the experience and sharing Christ and sharing Christ's love, because like the Nerf guns, the gifts just break or disappear, but God's not going to break or disappear. And so the Do Nothing Day and the return to lessening the gift load has all been part of reducing stress.
Yeah, and the day doesn't disappear either. That memory of the day to lounge around and to eat the special food and to just do things on our own schedule, that doesn't go away either.
Well, tell him, this is one of my favorite pictures. Tell him how we actually shop.
Yeah, I mean, we sit around with the laptop in our lap and we surf Amazon and sometimes eBay, and we buy Christmas. It's great. I love it.
And it gets sent to our door. We could have it wrapped. And so we've taken all of that stress out. Now, when the kids were young, we did do some homemade gifts, and that was family bonding time. The homemade gifts were fantastic family bonding time, where we made, little handprints or pictures or things for grandparents. But we're at a stage where that's kind of past. So I would highly encourage that family bonding time of homemade gifts. But dragging my boys through the store to look at things that I don't need, and you get in a Walmart, a Target, a mall, and you think, oh, I need this and this is on sale and all those types of things. Amazon can be just as bad, but you have some moment to think about it. So one of my favorite pictures is all three boys are in their boxer shorts sitting in one of our big chairs, and they're all on Amazon ordering Christmas. That's the only shopping they've ever done. I don't take Jerry through the noisy Christmas malls with Santa and all those types of things.
Yeah, I remember there was one year where I went to the traditional mall. I was young, 11, 12 years old. I had, I don't know, $20, $50. And I had a list of everybody that I had to shop for. After I was all done, and had them all wrapped and placed under the tree, there was this like real sense of accomplishment. I want to say I forgot somebody, and then there was a huge sense of guilt over that too. I did that one time, and gosh, it was a lot of work.
That's where you're detailed with toothbrushes and candy and stuff to go in the stockings. So we really encourage you, as Jerry said, to come up with your own tradition. What is it that suits you? And to kind of look at it and say, well, why am I doing this? Is this something that really works for me, or is this just part of the process that the family expects? And, like you said, we have disappointed some family and friends. We're not big gift givers. We would love to have you over for dinner, but as far as trinkets and things from, Oriental Trading Company or something that would cover everybody with the little, I don't know, elf or some kind of wreath or something like that, we would rather have the experience with you. We'd rather have coffee with you. We'd rather do that. And a lot of this is born out of awareness of ourselves and the separation and figuring out who we are as people.
Yep. That's true.
We'd be really interested in your Christmas traditions. What are the things that you really enjoy? We do, like I said, we do make gingerbread. We put up a tree, and normally we cut a tree. So that is something that we didn't do this year. What did we do this year?
Yeah, this year, after redeeming our Colorado card, we went to the city market and purchased a $40 tree. Now, granted, nicest looking tree we've ever had, and probably cost less than actually driving into the wilderness and harvesting one.
I don't know. Those trees were only $10.
$7, I think. But
Oh,
by the time you do
$7. Yeah.
the fuel, and then of course you forgot the saw, so now you got to go buy a handsaw, and yeah, I mean it's not cheap.
But it's pretty cool to walk out and cut your own tree, even though it looks like Charlie Brown's tree. It's never as full as a one that's been growing on a lot.
Well,
somewhere.
last year we were going Baja through 1.5 feet of snow, and Elijah's in the back seat freaking out that we're going to get stuck. And I'm in the front seat trying to pretend like I'm not freaking out that we're going to get stuck out in the middle of nowhere. No shovel. Yeah, no, that's where the Christmas stress really sets in. We will try and make up for that with our Do Nothing Day.
Right, absolutely. And our first purchased tree since we've been together, 17, 18 years, something like that.
It's gorgeous.
Tell them about the easiest tree you ever got, the one that we got from the Lions Club.
Oh, yeah. How did we do that? We auctioned or we bid on a tree or something?
No. I was working the Lions Club. Probably you have it in your town where they put out all these trees and businesses come in and buy them. So there are businesses that have designed the tree. I was a beauty shop at the time, and you put all these things on the tree, and the Boy Scouts had done this other tree. Often banks will come in and buy them. So they're already decorated. They're beautiful. They're ready to go in somebody's lobby.
Fully decorated.
Fully decorated with
Lights,
a tree stand.
Garland, tree stand. We still have that tree stand.
We still have the tree stand. It's wonderful. And Jerry gets a little tense about putting up a tree. We can talk about that on another episode. Oftentimes, they will go up for auction, and sometimes people will buy them, but they don't need a tree. They've already got dozens of trees in their business or something like that.
They're just buying them just to donate.
It was one Saturday, and Jerry and the boys are on the couch doing their thing, and these two gentlemen show up, and they've got this big bag. Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, no. They said, did we know that they were coming with the tree?
I think so.
And how did we end up getting it?
Well, the person who bought it at auction for $150, we didn't pay for it, decided they didn't need it.
So how did we get it?
I happened to be there late helping clean up, and they said, would you like the tree? And it was a red, white, and blue tree. It had little tiny planes on it.
Yeah.
And
it was gorgeous. And I do remember, as I recall, you said, yeah, we can take that. How are we going to get this home? And we were trying to figure it out. And they said, no, we'll bring it by. It's part of the deal. And then they drove it over. It was fully bagged. They set it up in the corner right where we told them. And they took the bag off, and it was like bada bing, bada boom. It was done, and it was gorgeous.
And it was lit. It came with all its
Yeah.
lights that we're still using. It was one of the easiest things we've ever done. So go volunteer at a Lions Club at a Christmas tree trimming show and see if you can come up with a tree. The tree can be stressful. There are all kinds of memories attached to different traditions. And so we really encourage you to figure out your own tradition so that you can decide what's the best for you. Hey, this is Tanya. The one thing we don't want to do during this holiday season is give our serenity away. As people in recovery, it is priceless to us to keep our serenity. It also keeps those around us happy when we are in control of our calm, our mind, and our judgment. So to keep the sanity, we need to keep the serenity. And that's why I've created these Serenity Holiday Hacks. They're just a short little minute. They're a recording. They will drop into your email box every morning. You can wake up to them, and I highly suggest that you just do them. They're simple little things that will help you stay peaceful during the holiday as guests arise, as your family members show up, as you eat too much sugar, as you work through all the things that happen in the holiday season. And I'm planning on keeping them running just a little bit after the Christmas holiday, because I don't know about you, but I feel a little let down after the party. So I'd like a few hacks for keeping my mind in a state of serenity. So join me for that. This has been Tanya with a Worth It Moment. Looking forward to seeing you in the email.